Welcome to Toolbox Talks. I'm joined by Scott from Wave Group in Dundee. Scott was a salesman in the windows and doors industry for 10 years. And you started Wave Group in November 2024, is that right? You've obviously rebranded since, but...
Yeah, no, we actually started in July of 2024.
July 2024.
Yeah,
Yep.
but it was operating as a slightly different-ish business at the time,
Yep.
which evolved.
Aye, with the rebrand, aye.
Yeah.
Yep. Scott's went from, so what, your sales in November and December in 2024 were what?
Diabolical. Diabolical sales, yeah, that was terrible. It was probably under...
What's the total?
Under about 20 grand, something like that.
Yep, and you've went from there to... Obviously things accelerated pretty quickly, which we'll get into, but now you're kind of, what are you selling roughly on average a month now?
We'll do 120, 150k.
Nice, class. So pretty like aggressive growth then.
Yeah, definitely aggressive growth, yeah.
Class. And what was your kind of like upbringing like? Because I've never spoke to you about this before. Like, what was your kind of like school years and that? Like, I could imagine you being an absolute fucking nightmare.
No,
school, or were you completely different?
Nah, I was completely different. Growing up, a lot of people will actually say to you that I was the brightest in the room. Put it that way, because I was always just interested in football all the time. That was all I done. Growing up, and then school years were pretty challenging, because going into primary school, I can still remember it, I was just always challenging. I can even remember from leaving nursery, I've got quite a good memory.
What challenging in what sense?
Just like I just didn't get on with teachers. I was always like always in fights all the time with everybody and anybody, just zero tolerance at all, just constantly in bother. And then towards the end of primary 6, primary 7, I was only in primary school 3 days a week, because I went and done other sort of social challenges out with school, with like social workers and things like that. So I was like,
is that like when the bad kids get to go and do the quad biking and that?
Yeah. So I got to do that. Help. What was it, like abseiling and wall climbing, going out on bikes, quad bikes, all these different things. But I actually went to, I'll give them a mention, it was a place called Kick It Kick Off. So I started off there. When they kicked off, it was basically a community initiative from Dundee Football Club. And so I was one of the first people in there, working with a guy called Charlie, and he taught you a lot of things that you can't learn in school, whether that's primary school, high school, and that was brilliant. And it started to change me a wee bit, because even when I went into first year, I still, because then you're meeting kids from different schools, and growing up there wasn't, we didn't have mobile phones really, proper mobile phones with things like we've got now, like WhatsApps, and you've got a computer where you can put headphones on and speak to people from wherever and whatnot. So it was all much very, what it's like when you're young. It's very much sort of gangs and sort of rivals, not like gangs, you know what I mean? Like people just hanging about, you're from that area.
They used to hang about the streets quite a lot, like kids nowadays, it doesn't tend to be what they do.
They're in their bedroom now playing the computer, or they're, I don't know, sitting on TikTok all the time or something, where but then you didn't really get a chance to meet other people as much as what it's as the way kids meet now, if that makes sense. So when you went to high school, you're meeting kids from other schools, and then everybody's got this sort of alpha male in them, do they? So it's like, it ended up causing me problems going into first year anyway, because it was doing nothing but fighting again. And then it started to cause me some issues, but I started to calm down again. I was only in high school a couple of 2 or 3 days a week, and I went away, done Kick It Kick Off, and went away down and played teams like Liverpool. They had a similar setup down there, but I started to mature then a little bit.
So when you said the guy you started to change when the guy kind of helped you a bit, what do you mean by that?
I would say just more so like putting an arm around you, because growing up in that, I was, compared to maybe my brothers and sisters who are quite a bit older than me, I wouldn't say they had the same challenges as me, but I had a lot of challenges between my mum and my dad that I'd probably rather not say on the podcast, but a lot of issues and things like that growing up. So the guy Charlie that ran the the kick off is brilliant because he would teach you about sort of drugs, sex, knife crime, all these type of things, and things that you wouldn't really think about, to be honest with you, but you don't get taught in school.
Certainly not back then either.
No,
school's
it's just
more
like
openly spoke about now, but not back then.
No, back then. So I started to get a bit older and a bit wiser, and then that took me into like second and third year where I started to kick on in school a wee bit. Done prelims, done alright. I was very good at art. I was in credit for art actually. I don't know if that had to do with the fact that my next door neighbour was best pals with my art teacher and I could have seen it all the time. But I got a credit in art. I was always pretty good at drawing, and then going into the end of third year, more or less fell out of school and actually started out as a apprentice butcher.
A butcher?
Yeah, started because from a young, I don't know, from a young age, my gran was an entrepreneur. My gran was a hotelier. She owned hotels and things like that. And I don't know. It's just I've just managed. I think I've managed to get. I've got something about us where I've always got to be very driven. So that probably came in at about 15, 16, where I wanted to leave school and go and start earning money. But I didn't have any skills or trades behind us because I left school with no qualifications. Didn't stay long enough to gain qualifications. So I instantly wanted to go out and start making money.
And was that, like, do you feel like obviously said your gran was in business?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was like an influence in your decision to you just wanted to make money? Or?
Do you know what? Not at the time. No, but then when you look back, I think I've got my gran's genes because other members of my family, although we've all got love for each other, but they don't have the same drive as me. And I'm sure they'll say that though. Like they'll be all right with that because it's just something that I've got. And I think like my dad had his own sort of garage. My dad was a mechanic, where my mum worked 2 jobs, working in as a nurse in a nursing home, and we had a lot of challenges growing up as well. Lost my 2 brothers and things like that growing up, and then eventually lost my gran and things like that as well, which wasn't great. But I just think with these things in your life and growing up and seeing the trouble that I kind of got myself into and the path that, because there was drugs involved at that time as well. You know, people were smoking cannabis and you're out drinking and you're doing just all the naughty stuff that back then 13, 14, 15, 16 year olds were getting up to. They probably still do, but I changed my tune pretty quickly because I knew I had to go out and get working. But to answer your question, I probably didn't realise until later on in life that maybe I've sort of got the drive because the things I've been through in the past, and looking at my gran and looking at my dad pretty much is what gave me the drive.
So you feel, when you say that, do you feel like the drive comes from the kind of circumstances that you had when you were younger, in terms of you wouldn't really want to be stuck in those circumstances, or you kind of aspired to be like your gran? What it's a sad thing to say, but it's probably not so much like an inspire to my gran. It was more a battle with myself, and I always had a bee in my bonnet from a certain age to try and do better than the current situation I was in. And also, you know, nowadays, like kids and that, I've got all these influencers to see, and there's probably loads of inspiration out there. But me growing up, there wasn't really a lot of inspiration, to be quite honest with you. There was nothing to really go off it. So everything was always off of instinct. You know, it was more so, you know, things have got to be better than this. What can I do? And so, you know, I went from the butchery, but then laziness caught up with us because I was 16, still had pals. I was earning all right money. The butchery was decent money then. And also, if your pals are earning money, and you, like, at least if you're earning something, you've got more money than anybody else at that age.
You do, and I'd never been. I got paid fortnightly. I got paid something like 300 quid a fortnight or 400 quid a fortnight. I can't remember. But to me that was a lot of money because I never had anything like that at all. You know, it wasn't. I left school and just.
Especially when you've not got anything to pay for, and back then that would have been decent money.
Yeah, it was good. But then, you know, I had a half day Wednesday, half day Saturday. I still think about it a lot because it's all part of sort of the journey. But I remember the guy George and Scott that owned Scott Brothers Butchers at the time, and they said to me, this kind of carry on, you know, which understandably is a business. I was annoyed, but then people kind of just not turn up for work. So
okay.
Yeah, so they had to sack me, and then I end up going away.
What age were you at that point?
I would have been 16 I think it would have been, yeah. Yep. Because 16-year-old, yeah, and I lasted maybe about 6 months at it. Because it was just brutal. It was hard going.
I remember I can't remember, I was like 15, I used to work in like a local bakery.
Yeah.
Like my dad used to drop me off at, it was like 4 a.m. in the morning, mate, and we'd work until like...
all work early.
We'd work until like 2 in the afternoon, but I got sacked for, we used to chuck rolls at each other when we were packing them. I got caught on CCTV and got sacked for that.
Yeah, well, that's what, I remember like going in there, we used to get a bag of sausages and boil them in the haggis pot in a bag, and then we'd eat them, and it was, but you weren't allowed to do that. But we went and done that, and then we'd go down to the baker a bit next to it, and we'd go and steal all the rolls and put the pies or sausages in a roll and eat that. So it was good. It had its pros and the cons were that you had to get up at 5:30 in the morning to get to your work for 6, and you'd work till 4 o'clock. It was like some shift, but it wasn't really for me, to be fair. So that was where I left there, and then went and done scaffolding. Was it scaffolding? No, it wasn't actually. It was paint and decorating. I went and did a paint and decorating course with the council because the council were looking for 20 employees from the job centre, because I was trying to get a job, and they came on, took us all on. So I done a year with a journeyman who was completely deaf, and he was just, it was horrendous working with him. Communication was terrible. I think he was just so angry all the time, and he would never get a break because these guys were on a price where I'm on a salary. It's two different things.
Alright, so they're just going for that.
They're going home, and I'm like, slow down. You know, so that we done that for a year, and actually I liked it.
That'd be a graft as well, though, scaffolding.
It was no, this was the paint and decorating.
Oh right, aye. So
scaffolding actually came a wee bit later. So we done the paint and decorating. I done that for a year. Really enjoyed it, and I thought, this is great. I'm going to be a painter. And I've got a trade behind us. But where the system let us down, and this is why later on when we chat, you know, things at universities and all these things, I'm not saying they're the right or wrong road, but it's not the be all and end all, you know, to go and have a successful career. Because I remember I went, I spoke to the guy, he says, you're a great painter, we'd like to have you back in for an interview to actually offer you an apprenticeship. And I thought, great. Goes away into the office, suited and booted, you know, the board, they're all sitting around this table doing an interview. There was like 5 or 6 of them doing an interview. It wasn't like a one-on-one. But I've always been pretty confident, so I just walked in like come on, give us a job pretty much. And they said, oh, where's all your paperwork? And I went, what do you mean? They says, well, where's all your qualifications? I says, I've got none, but I've just done a year for you. I know, we can't take you on as an apprenticeship, you need to have all your paperwork. And I think that was then I knew, right, I need to, this is what, if this is what it's going to be like, I'm going to need to find something.
Something else,
pretty quick. And so that didn't quite work out. And then at this point, a wee bit later, so it took me till, I was doing little jobs in between that took me till it would have been about 19. About 19ish. And the place right across the road from where my mum stayed was a scaffolding place. So I managed to get a job with them, and it was really good. But because I was like a sort of labourer, not really a scaffolder, you know, if work wasn't there, I was the first one out the door, which understandably. But what had happened is my dad had got diagnosed with lung cancer, and it turned out to be terminal cancer. And I'd just met Jenna at this time, my fiancée, who I know, and everything was going really well. But my dad was like, he had a bit less than a week to live, and they decided to pay me off. But they knew fine well that my dad had cancer, because they actually the owner of the business stayed in the street behind where we were currently staying, and you know, so there was that sort of relationship. But you can understand their point of view in a way, but at the same time, you know, I wanted to be working and earning money, and you know, if you're paid off and spending more time at home,
probably just a distraction as well.
So that then all happened, and it was a really sad day, my dad dying, because I think that as well, that it's kind of through my life, it's just sort of been little parts that have affected us.
What age were you at that point?
I was just about to turn 20 at the time. So still young, but at a point where I really need to start kicking on. You know, because I met Jenna's 5-6 years older than me. So meeting her changed a lot of things, because she was settled. She'd had bought a house at this point. You know, I'm still this.
You feel like I had to mature a bit quicker.
Had to mature really quick, otherwise she wasn't going to hang about. And I really liked, I really liked her, and I wanted to stay with her. So it was like, I really had to mature really quick. So yeah, my dad passed away. Took a bit of time to get over that. I didn't really get over that for a few years. That had a big impact on my life for a few years. My dad dying, because I didn't grieve at the time, and later on in life, things happened, and it just at times it was out of control.
You just kept yourself busy then?
Just kept myself busy, and so by this point it came. I was kind of doing bits and bobs with my pal's business, just chipping in. I was still going nowhere in life at this point, and so it was my 21st birthday coming up, and my Jenna wanted to go to Amsterdam. She'd never been, so I was like, right, well, we could do that for my 21st birthday. But even on the day coming home, she's like, we need to get a job, and I seen a job advertised online.
Yep.
No qualifications, and it was
perfect.
I thought, perfect. This is brilliant. This is my opportunity.
Yep.
And so I went into work in a call centre, and that's where everything changed for me, because that's where I noticed that I was different to a lot of people.
What were you? What type of call centre?
So it was a call centre for windows and doors. I'm sure there's lots of people that have been in these similar call centres or done what. But as I look back now to where I am, I've went the full hog with it. Where a lot of people treated it as a job where they come and go, stopgap students, stepping stones, all these type of things. But I actually stuck it out for years. Like, earned alright money, sometimes not so good money. Again, because I was really driven, and I've always been quite opinionated as well in terms of how I think things should be done. I'm quite a strong believer that you've got to trust your own instincts at times as well. You can listen to a lot of good people around you, but it's also trusting your gut at times, and making it work though. So went into this call centre, and I'm working for this company, and I was doing really well. It was great, making all right money, but at times I wasn't making enough money, and it was frustrating sometimes, but it was starting to shape me as a person. I would say I was getting really grounded, because I was in a routine of working constantly, like for a couple of years, and then I had a massive fallout with one of the bosses, and I says, I can't do this anymore. And at that point, a guy that was working within the company was doing door canvassing. And he said, do you want to come and work and do you want to do this? It's for the same company, but rather than being in the telesales, you could do door canvassing. He says, what's the pay? He says, you'll get paid £90. I went, for what for? He says, making an appointment. I thought,
what was that compared to the wages in the call centre?
Night and day. Night and day. This was this is where I had a real breakthrough, because I was like a dog with a bone. Like £90 for an appointment. I says, right, what time can we start? And then they went, any time you want. I says, what time can we finish? Any time you want. We just need hundreds of leads. And I thought, this is brilliant. So I was everywhere. I was like driving. I was at Grangemouth, and we were at Aberdeen, I was Edinburgh, Dundee, Stirling, Perth. We were anywhere that's got two doors that are like next to each other, so you can get through as much as you can. So I done that, and I started to get savings and things like that. So that was pretty much where it led me to start doing door canvassing, which was brilliant. Nice.
And was there? Obviously, when you say that's kind of like the call centre job is where you kind of got like started kicking on. What do you feel that was different about you when you went in to do that? Because a lot of people that would go and do that they'd maybe do it for a month, and they'd be like, "Fuck this! Like I can't do this." So what do you feel was what do you feel was different about you in that sense? And two, did you at any point realise that you were kind of good at speaking to people?
Yeah, I think I had the never give up attitude, which the people that ran the call centre liked. So I was getting more time on the phones as well. I would get more shifts that they were willing to pay me for. So kind of that graduated on to doing things like confirming, where you were paid £20 per appointment, which was brilliant, and it was really good. So going from that into door canvassing put me in good stead, because I did a lot of sort of grinder over the past couple of years in that call centre. It was gruelling, Sometimes you're in there from 10 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night.
Were these just cold leads that you were phoning?
Yeah, just
data,
like
proper yellow pages.
Just phoning data off a dialer, just on a dialer. That was it. You pressed a button, another one, and I was just going through them constantly. I wouldn't talk to people. I wouldn't associate with, and I was just like head down. I'm getting paid.
What would you say was the rejection rate? If you picked, if you got 10 dials, how many roughly are telling you where
probably
to go?
10.
Aye. 10.
The rejection rate was high, obviously.
Yep.
You know, but it was just a numbers game. You know, it was just how many could you get through. You know, so I knew if I phoned so many people, I would get so many appointments, and that was pretty much what I did. And yeah, it was brilliant. But that's what put me in real good stead, because I knew then that was when I kind of got introduced to, that was more telemarketing as opposed to sales, but it's still part of a sales process.
Yep.
And that's where I kind of seen a hunger for sales, and I thought there's more to this. You know, I could really go and earn a lot of money here if I'm, you know, given the right opportunity. But obviously I was quite a bit down the pecking order there, because you've got telesales, then obviously it would have been the door canvassers, and then you've got managers that need to get paid, and then you've got sales reps, sales managers, branch managers, managing directors, all. So I'm right at the bottom of the pile, but I didn't even look at it like that. I just thought, I don't really care where I am in the business, I just want to make money. And then,
did you like it? Did you like the fact that, like, you almost got paid in proportion for the amount of effort and work that you were willing to put in, as opposed to it's not really the same in a lot of different roles as well?
Well, yeah, 100%. The more effort you put in, the more money you get out of it, pretty much. And when I went there, we had a good core team of people, and but then they gradually leave because they can't hack it.
Yep.
Where I kind of always knew there's got to be someone at the end of this. Someone good's got to come out of this for me.
Yep.
Like, you know, and I was willing to put in the hard work, and it was grueling. Anybody who's worked in a call centre, like, I'll tell you, like, it's the worst job in the world. But I actually thrived in it and enjoyed it, and it gave me good foundations, and that was where the foundation started. And anybody that I've worked with, or anybody that listens to this, will tell you that I was really good in there, and I've kicked on to achieve a lot since then, you know.
Yep. I remember, I think, I can't remember if it was when I was first started uni. It was a call centre called Ipsos Mori that I worked in.
Right.
It was kind of like part-time, you kind of get the odd like shift here and there, but it was essentially you were phoning up. It was almost like, it was like market research.
Yeah.
So you were having to phone people up and rushing about trying to get their dinner, and you were having to get them on the phone and get them to answer like 20 questions about Sky or something. It was torture, mate. Like that. Aye. I didn't last long doing that.
Do you know what? I don't envy anybody that works in a call centre now, but if you do, like, hats off.
Character building.
Definitely. You either benefit from it, or, you know, or you don't. Like, it's not for sales. Isn't for a lot of people. Again, maybe as we go through the podcast, like, you know, when we start speaking about the sales side of things, you know, I've seen many sales people come and go. They just don't have that. Some people just don't have the up and go, but they also just don't have the knowledge or understanding or objection handling and all these other things that come with sales, you know.
Yep.
But because of being on the phones, objection handling is massive.
Yep.
You know, when you're on the phones. So again, that puts you in a good stead. But like you say, when you got into the door canvassing, starting to make £1,000 a week. You know, I'd never seen £1,000 a week before. So earning that for chapping doors, and a lot of people used to look down at you, but again, there was someone in me where kind of just used to accept that, you know, my door canvasser, not the best job in the world, it's frowned upon.
You probably weren't aware of how much money you were making, because back then £1,000 a week would have been alright.
It was great money, like, honestly, it was great. It started to allow me to get a bit of freedom. Like, it was contributing towards my relationship a lot better. Jenna honestly stuck with me through thick and thin, because she could have left me any time, because I was bringing nothing to the table. Like, honestly, nothing at all. It was kind of like Jenna's mum and family and that probably didn't accept us that well either at that time. We got on really well now, but back then it was kind of like you've got a feeling that they think their daughter's made a massive mistake here. But
she's went with a door canvas.
Well, it's along them lines. No, I wouldn't say that. I would more say just like, I'm a bit younger than her, and she was settled in her life, you know, and then she's brought me into her life, and it was just chaos. But I think having that in my life as well, I've always just liked to prove people wrong.
Yep.
And that's what I think. You know, people say stay in your own lane, and, you know, you shouldn't be trying to impress other people, and I wouldn't say so much it's about that. I would just say you're always up against yourself, you're always trying to do better, but at the same time it's pretty good proving people wrong that thought different of you. You know, you just go about it quietly, you know. They just, you know, that's how I do it. So
that's interesting, that, because I think as well, like, and I don't know what your opinion on it is, but I think you can go through a phase in life where you kind of, that it can be like the fuel to drive you.
Yeah.
But then eventually that runs out, because you start to realise that was so like insignificant, but it wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
And it's almost you then need something else to kind of drive you and kick you on at that point.
Yeah,
as well.
100%. You've got work related sort of motivations that you want to improve on, but you've also got stuff that's closer to home that you also want. So I had loads and loads of motivation, because I can't really put it on it. I've just always had that. I think, but definitely going to the call centre when you see a lot of people around you, and the managers and the salespeople that you look up to, because salespeople back then were the best in sliced bread. They used to walk a bit like Archie, and you kind of like, it's not so much you want to be like them, but it's kind of like, cool, they've got a few quid, how did I get there, and then, but it was step by step. It was like marketing, door canvassing, and then I went and done something completely out of the blue, but that didn't work. So
do you feel like you just didn't like losing?
Yeah, hate losing.
I'm very similar.
Completely hate losing. Don't like it. Don't like being defeated in anything that I do, whether it's a conversation or
a game of FIFA.
Game of FIFA, which I've not played for a while, but I do miss a game of FIFA. But I'm just saying, anything I do, I've always had that competitive edge. I used to be a pretty decent footballer when I was younger. Some people might disagree, but I thought I was all right. And I think it's just bred from that, just having loads of, just having that determination, which is then carried into work, so it could have been a multitude of things, but my life's been pretty quick, I can't even believe I'm 33 now, so it's like, it's just went so quick that, it's, I don't know, I think sales does that to you a little bit, because sales you're always chasing, you never stop, and it's like you're constantly chasing that next sale.
And you're only as good as your last.
And you're only as good as your last, but that's where I just don't stop. Sales is extremely important, and it always will be in every business that you're in. And it's having salespeople that don't make 2, 3, 4, 5 grand in the week and want to stop. That wasn't me. Like, if I'd made 5 grand in a week, I'd want to make 10. If I'd done 10, I'd be frightened because I'd want to make 15. I'm just so. It's just like keep repeating the process and keep going and get to a point where, maybe one day you could retire early, but I mean, in the meantime, it's just constant. So, but I enjoy it. I really like it.
And how do you kind of feel like you dealt with obviously once you got the initial exposure to sales, how do you feel you dealt with the rejection? Because it's almost like
from telecan, door can, or then hopping into sales.
I just guess just anything in general, like when you are met with rejection. And anything to do with sales, because I think a lot of people maybe get embarrassed when that happens and they're not sure how to handle it and it puts them off. And
I think sales it's not complicated, but I just don't think a lot of people prepare enough. And I would study quite a lot of things, not necessarily to do with sales, but just more so how to deal with people. And people buy from people. I don't care how old that saying is, they do. Like, they're buying a product off you, right? Which is understandable, but they're buying off of you. You've got to be a likeable person first of all, otherwise they're not buying from you. And I got rejection, but to be honest with you, I've won more than I've lost. And a lot of people might find that hard to believe because people associate sales 1 and 3, 1 and 4. No, I was like less than 1 and 2 throughout my sales career when I was working in sales for whether that was a national company or any other business. I was relentless, constantly, all the time. Conversion rates were always very high, because I wouldn't give up. Like, I'm one of them, unfortunately, that I'd be in your house for 2-3 hours, but it made me really good money. Which is just what it takes. But I would spend 2 hours getting on with them. Wouldn't even speak about windows, doors, or whatever other products I'd be selling. It was just more so getting on with them. And then I would just always expect them to buy, because I've went through a good process with them. I've got on so well with them that at the end I just expect them to buy. And okay, sometimes that doesn't work, right? But that was my way of selling. And I remember if we go on a wee bit later on when I worked for a national company, and I remember we were in Glasgow, and the guy says to me, the regional manager, in front of all these sales staff and that, and here's me, I was a young skinny guy, compared to all these experienced sales guys, but I was consistently selling more than them. Bearing in mind I stayed in Dundee. I'm not in a population in Glasgow where it's massive compared to Dundee. I worked between Dundee and Edinburgh, but more so Dundee I would work. So you're not getting the same amount of leads as these people, so they almost just felt embarrassed because my conversion rates were higher and I'm getting less leads than them, and I'm selling more than them.
Was the sales volume higher as well?
Sales volume was a lot higher, yeah. Average order value was always pretty good as well because I was good at upselling as well. But I would have touching on that point, he says, Scott's going to stand up and do a speech. I was like, am I? I didn't know nothing about this. And right, Scott, what's basically, what do you do? Because we all want to know.
Yep.
I mean, what do you want me to tell you? Like, how you sell, handle objections, go through finance proposals, what is it? They went, everything. I went, to be honest with you guys, I've got no secret to tell you. It's like, I just got on with people, genuinely. And that's what kind of reaffirms certain processes within sales. It's just, I would say a lot of it is to do with getting on with people. Yeah, product knowledge is really important. You've got to know things like that. Customer asks you someone, you've got to know it like this constantly. But I wouldn't say that's the biggest part. And, they all felt embarrassed because it's like, they'd come up to me and we'd have a chat and, how do you do this and how do you do that?
I think you've got some form of secret or something.
Yeah, it's no secret. It's just that, no, I'm on time. I'm on time. I'm prepared. I'm prepared for anything in the house. Whatever's getting thrown at me, whether it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I can't remember what the word I'm looking at. But some people will have maybe certain sort of just general questions, or they might have questions around the products and things like that. But I had an answer for everything, all the time. And I think people liked that, that I was quick and, it reassured the customer that, he's not having to think about these things. He's able to tell. I
guess the minute you hesitate, they're kind of questioning, like, does he actually ken what he's talking about?
And I went out and done sales training. I went out with new sales reps on to Leeds, and I've been told to shut up from the sales managers. Don't help them. Just let them see how they get on. And I'm thinking, this is like, some of these guys are terrible, And equally, one of the biggest things for me is I still remember this. I got a lead in Livingston. And I went away to it and went in the front door, like no welcomed at all. Like, house was a tip. Two of them, you would think they didn't have any money, anything like that. And I had this regional director, sort of manager, boss, or whatever it may be, coming up from England to come and sit in an appointment with me.
Yep.
And he's, it's welcome to Scotland. You go into this guy's house, mid-terrace in Livingston, like, guy was just a riot, wanted to argue with me on every single thing, but he just met his match. I just met him right in the middle, everything. Yep. And I got a deal. I got a deal of it on the day there and then, signed them up, deposit paid, everything. And I remember when we came out with that, the guy says, "Do you know what? I've never seen anything like that." And he's like 60-year-old. He says, I just never in a million years thought we were getting a deal there. Mm-hmm. But I could see what you did. You spoke to him like he spoke to you, and he quite liked it. So I brought the guy around, because he was speaking in that sort of Ori language, that sort of tone. So I just gave him it back in his tone, but in funny, in certain ways, where he could, he could understand it. And at the end we shook hands and we got on really well, but it started off terrible, like no welcome, no handshake, no sit there, nothing like that at all. It was like we were standing up doing a pitch here, and you walk in, the guy says, "Gives a price,"
straight off the rip.
Straight off the rip, I need the price. How long's this going to take you? What's he doing here?
Up against it at that point.
Up against it. I went, that's no way to welcome anybody, And he went, what do you mean? I says, well, come on. I says, gives a wee bit of time. I says, he's here to do a bit of sales training. It's to recording sort of how we go through our processes. It won't take long. Have you got 15 minutes? Yeah, 15 minutes turned into an hour and a half.
I see, that's interesting, because again, it's like that's the point in time where like other people might just crumble.
Yeah, they will.
Because they didn't know how to handle that.
No, they'll just go in and they'll measure the windows. Okay, there's your price. See you later. For me, I knew the barrier was breaking him down. Mm-hmm. Nothing about windows or nothing about that. It was finding someone in the room or with him, or something to try and take his mind off a salesman and double glazing salesmen in particular, who are notorious, for hanging around and for people's houses for hours on end. But I did do it, but I made it in a way where I'd got a lot of deals or whatever, and we're 3 hours in, I'd say, look, I do apologise, I've been in the house 3 hours, it's taken a... No, is it 3 hours, is it? because I always got on with people, always found something in common with them all the time.
I guess is what you fill the time with as well.
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly.
Like, but if you're proper forcing them, like,
yeah, they're going to feel it, yeah. And
yeah.
some situations were like that, you know, because I was given 3, 4, sometimes 5 leads in a day, you know, like, you know, if you go to a lead and it blew out or there was an issue with it, they'd give me another one, because I knew that I would go to it. I would never question them, you know, about how far I'd have to travel. Like, the very first lead that I got when I started in sales was in Coldingham, which is like the borders. You know, I was closer to Newcastle than I was to Dundee. And going into that was crazy. Started pitching in front of like 8 people holding a Domino's. Never had any sales training. Never even knew how to do the finance. Nothing. Got on really well with them. Signed up, made 400 quid, and I was like, "Is it actually this easy?"
Yeah.
You know, like, and then that was it. Took off. So but that was a little bit later on. I'd had a business previously before that had failed, obviously. Yep. So I kind of jumped the gun a wee bit there.
How do you, obviously, if there's any home improvement business owners watching, because typically a lot of them are not, like, they didn't start in sales, then go and open a business. Like, what would you say is the key to selling and putting enough pressure on, but not too much that it feels like sleazy and salesy?
So I would say, you know, are you talking from you know, a guy who's set up a business from an installation background that has to go out selling, or? Aye,
probably, like, because I think the biggest concern a lot of trade business owners have that are maybe still in that sales seat is that they know they need to get the business, but they have this concern that they didn't want to come across as really salesy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like, it goes back to like what I just said. You know, customers they're so savvy now, right? And there is more businesses out there.
Yep.
So it comes down to a lot of things, you know, like, have you got a good business, have you got a good infrastructure, have you got a good systems, have you got a good presence online, you know, because it's a quality lead that you get as well now, where back then, you know, a lot of the leads were tele-canvassed, door canvassed, so that's got, I would say, that has got a part to play in it a little bit, you know, but I suppose for people that are either wanting to get into sales or trying to improve on, you know, what they're currently doing, is it's really to dial in with, first of all, product knowledge, and so that, you know, if a customer's hitting you with a question, you can answer that quite confidently. But it's also really just getting on with people and creating the setting the scene has always been a big part of, like, I didn't really go by selling circles. I was brought up doing it, but I don't really delve too much into selling circles. They do work in certain scenarios, but at the same time it could also be to your detriment, because I was told to sell that way, and sometimes I would revert to it and it wouldn't work in certain situations, because people feel they're being led down the rabbit hole a little bit, where you just have to really get on with a customer. Which I think is really
just on that, for anyone that's listening that's not aware of, what do you mean by selling circles?
Yeah, so like we would have, like, either it was one of them was like a pyramid, and it was it had like a structured sales process for you to go through, which is from, like, you know, 1 to 12. It was very long-winded, and it could be hard to completely remember, because if you had to ask me it right now, I probably couldn't tell you off by heart, because I've never really followed it, and that's what some sales managers didn't like, you know. When I didn't get a deal, they'd be on my case. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do that? And I'd be like, well, nah, I didn't do it, because I was a little bit stubborn, but, you know, I give you more good than bad, don't I? So, you know, it's my way it does work, and I suppose we'll never know, you know, if that's to my detriment or not, but it's done me more good, and it's done branches more than good as well, you know. So I would say, like, the selling circle could be a good thing, where, you know, if you're somebody starting out in selling, I think you do need to know a bit of a process in terms of how you approach a lead. And when you first go in, so you know, first thing is making sure everything's prepared, laptops are charged up, you've got brochures on you, you've got a window sample, and, you know, as you approach the door, and how you introduce yourself, and how you start setting the scene of what your appointment's going to entail, because not necessarily whoever's confirmed the appointment has went through with them what's actually going to happen. You know, because some people might think you're just going to go in there, measure windows and send a quote. Or whatever it is you may do for sales, and whatever construction business you're on.
So basically try to take the anxiety away from the customer of the kind of unknown of...
Yeah, like, I think you've got to be really savvy. You've got to understand the situation you're in instantly. That's really important. You've got to think. You've got maybe 10 seconds between they open the door and you're either taking a seat or you're standing on your feet.
Yep.
One or the two. And how you get bums on seats and get them to start listening to you. But it's also important to really listen to the customer and understand what they want. If your customer went in and says, "Oh, you're going to measure the windows first," I would just go, "Aye, would that suit you?" "Aye, perfect, no problem. We'll do that first then." And try and not fight against the situation. Just go with it, but don't remember the principles of why you're there. You're not there just to be a quoting system. You're there to go in there and try and get a deal. Whether you're in a situation where you can sell on the day or whether you're not, you've got to follow a certain process, I would say, when you're in sales. Otherwise, you're going to be set up for failure.
Yep. Do you feel that's important to obviously until comes a point that they're comfortable selling without a process, they should 100% be trying to follow something? I think
they should, if you're either new to sales or if you're coming from a construction background trying to work in sales, it's not going to work. And that's not me being negative. It's I've seen salespeople who've been selling for over 10 years that go out and sell and they fail and they end up going away working for DPD, or I'm not saying it's a bad job. You put the graft in at these places, you earn money. But if you really want to make it in life as a good salesperson, you've got to really understand certain situations that you're going to find yourself in. And I think as the years go on, I found myself in probably every situation you could be under. From getting bit from dogs to going in. There's you're going into places that stinks of weed, and you're going into horrible areas, and you're going into people that just everything. I think I've been into everything, every situation. Aggressive people, no want to fight you, but people that have got their back up as soon as you go through the door because they've been battered into the ground from another salesperson. So it gives them a perception that you're going to be the same. And not every lead you're going to go to is going to work out the way that you want it to, but if you've got a sales manager that's behind you and expecting a result, give him a bit of respect, and because he's been there and done it, and make sure not them all, not every sales manager's been there and done it. Some of them just get put right in the hot seat as well. But it's just about making sure you're doing everything you can to go out and earn as much money as you can. Because you're probably going to be on some form of commission, even if you're a business owner and you're going out to sell a lead. If that doesn't sell, you're not getting paid on it.
Right, well, the commission's the business continues.
Commission's the business. Yeah, that's how it continues. So whether you're employing a sales rep or you're going out and doing it yourself, it's the same exact same thing. So.
And then obviously you said you'd done the initial things when you were younger. You then went into the call centre, then the door can. The next 10 years after that were just, did you jump direct into the windows and door sales, or?
So what had happened, it was a funny one. I was actually working as a door canvasser. I was earning good money. Actually, I had door canvassing teams. So we had a team that I managed that we went out, and it just wasn't quite working out for me in the end. I got fed up. I feel like I'd kind of outdone it. I'd done everything that I could do.
The door cam?
I was earning good money. I was doing great. Some people might think, that's great, but I went and took the risk. And life's all about risks, 1,000,000,000%. Right? And you'll know that yourself. If you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to strive to be anything, you're going to have to take risks. You're going to be having to willing to either lose money or something along them lines where you feel there's a better outcome down the line.
Every day,
So I decided I spoke to my father-in-law, and he works in the oil and gas. He owns a company that supplies machinery to the oil and gas industry, and the downturn of the oil came. So that would have been maybe 2015, something like that. And in that time, he said, look, we could set up a window company for you. We could, we can give you a loan, and we could set up in the place that we set up at the time, maybe half an hour from Dundee. And I thought, great. So we set this business up, and we started going out selling. I used my door canvassing techniques. I was way out door canvassing for myself, and it worked. I was going out getting more leads, and then I started buying leads in, which is one of the worst things you could do. Cost a fortune, and it's not just you buying that lead. You're competing against all these different people. So lead quality was all right, but we did that for about 2 years, but I just wasn't making any money. We were breaking even every single month.
What did you feel the problem was?
I felt the problem was, one, not enough leads. I was in a pretty rural area,
Is your big overhead?
Well, we done all right. We actually brought in a full-time surveyor. I kept going out doing the selling. We had 2 installation teams that were on price work at the time. We were keeping up. We started doing all right, like I would say. We were doing pretty well, but I wasn't taking the wage at the business. Well, I was taking £300 a week. I went from earning £1,000 to £1,500 a week to taking the hit of earning enough money just to cover my weekly bills and whatnot. You know, a little bit left over. Because my overheads at home at this point were pretty low.
Yep.
Didn't have a bought a house for that at the time. So I thought I could afford to take this risk. You know, I could definitely afford to do it. And it just didn't pay off. And we decided to just close the business down because, one, I was travelling 45 minutes nearly to work every day, half an hour, 45 minutes to work every day.
Yep.
And I just found that I thought I knew it all. I thought I knew everything, but I didn't know. I knew
you always do when you start, so
yeah.
you aye.
You think you know it all, and I thought I knew it all, and I didn't. I didn't know enough about the installation side of the business and the problems that you could come across, and it ended up being to my detriment. We had some major issues, and that we just couldn't recover from as a really small business. And
yep.
But what then it did give me is a massive knowledge on installation. So this is where again all my knowledge, having to go out and learn. I went out days and laboured. I went and started learning how to fit the windows.
Yep.
I was going out and fitting windows. I mean, it's funny because I couldn't do it now. Like if you did to go and put me in to fit a window right now, you know, I know how to do it, but I just don't have that craftsmanship to make a good job of it. But back then, because I was going out, well, we had to get rid of a team, and then because there wasn't enough work. And then there was just me and one of the guys out, and we were just out fitting windows every day.
Yep.
And then I was going to be out at night and doing pricing. It was just horrendous. For anybody who's still doing that, like, on you go.
Yep.
Like, well done, because it's stressful as anything. So yeah, no, that just didn't work out. We decided that this is not making money after a couple of years. Like, I'm making no money. I feel there's no progression here. So I went up to my father-in-law and I says, this is not working. You know, whatever's due in and you need your investment back, have it. I don't want nothing to do with it.
So if you look back now, like what do you feel was the main issue and that it never worked? Was it the leads?
I would say me. I would genuinely say it was me. I take responsibility and say it was me that was the issue. I didn't know enough. I didn't know enough about how to generate more business. I didn't know how to deal with the installations properly. I didn't know how to deal with people properly. Just so naive to, you know, I thought I can go from being on telesales to door canvassing to thinking I know it all.
Yep.
I knew how to market and I knew how to kind of sell, but not really.
You go from wearing one hat to 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, and I thought, you know, this is a lot harder than I thought, and that's why a lot of businesses maybe still fail to this day. If they do fail, it's because they think they know it all and they don't, you know, understand how, you know, because like I've got installers that work for Wave, and I'm not saying they do, but they might think that we don't do an awful lot in the day. But there's always something to do constantly.
Oh, as in like you didn't do a lot.
Yeah,
I think there's always.
They don't think that. You know, I'm not. Well, I don't know if they do or they don't. Hopefully, if you are watching this, you don't. But it's like we've got a really good relationship with installers. We got on really well. They get treated really fairly, which is what it's all about. It's about treating people fairly, paying people really well, and awarding them and things like that. But you know, salespeople could be undermined a little bit sometimes. You know, I'm a business owner now. It's a wee bit different to being a salesperson, but you know, I would still associate myself with being in that sort of category. But there's so much things that go on behind the scenes as a business owner that runs a successful business, not a business owner that's potentially running something into the ground. In order for our business to tick the way it currently does, it takes an awful lot of hard work and knowledge, and the knowledge is being gained through a lot of bad experiences.
It's just you're just learning for the failures.
You're learning from failures. Making mistakes in business is not ideal, but
that's how you learn.
If you learn from the mistakes, then it's so powerful. I would say, because now do I know it all? No, but I know a lot more than what I did. I know enough now to know how to run a successful double glazing company, at least anyway. Obviously the company does windows, doors and mainly bathrooms as well, but it's the same principle. So you know, it put me in good stead.
So what do you like? Obviously you've then got your period where you had the kind of 10 years. So after you had that failed business, correct me if I'm wrong, but you then jumped into 10 years of
Well,
selling?
No.
Or was that a different timeline?
So like I'd been in marketing sales from in total since I've been 20. So yeah, 13, 14 years in total. I've been working between marketing and sales, but where I really got my first taste of sales, proper sales and training and things like that, was probably around 2017, 18, something like that. And as soon as I left
so
that
it's
job,
not that long ago. What, 7 years ago?
Yeah, 7, 8 years ago, yeah. But this is where I had the upper hand. Going in and working as a sales rep after all that experience of Telecan, Doorcan, working for myself. I was able to go into houses as a salesperson, but have so much technical knowledge of the installation of windows, where a lot of salespeople don't. So, showing samples was a great strength of mine. Showing a customer a sample and using closing questions through doing the demonstration, and anybody could ask me a question and I'd have an answer for it.
Yep.
So it put me in really good stead. So yeah, we went to work for a national company, and the sales manager at the time gave me a lead away, and he says on a Friday night, he says, so he passed me the lead, and I was like, where is it? I says, where's that? I says, what? I didn't even recognise the postcode. It was TD. And that was the one.
The borders.
That was one Coldenham. Yeah.
Aye, yep.
That's where I went away down there, sat in front of people, so nervous, like. But at the same time, like, I seen an opportunity, and I knew they had this thing where you were able to see your commission down the side.
Yep.
And I thought, God, if I could earn all that, like that's brilliant. And I went and I drove down there. At the time, I had a PCP car. I think it was the first time I'd used a PCP, and I got like this 1 Series BMW at the time.
Yep.
And but I was too scared to drive it that far. I didn't want to put the miles and that on it. It was better to be worth it.
Oh, you have like 5,000 miles on your PCP contract.
So, yeah, something like that. Something like that. Terrible.
Yep.
So I goes away down and went and pitched it, sold it, used the finance, and made just under 400 quid. And then when I came off, and I had a terrible time in the house, so it took me about 4 hours. I didn't know how to work nothing. I got put thrown into the deep end, a tiny wee bit of training, thrown in, never had a clue. So they must have been punters. I took no credit for that. Went done my job. They just really needed windows, and they bought, and I made nearly 400 quid. And when I came out, I says, it's like, I need more leads. Like, if you can give me more of them, and I'm making 400 quid a day.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes more than that. There was days I was making $2,000 a day, like $3,000 a day. Bonuses were ridiculous. It was just a brilliant period of my life, to be fair. And it gave me, I started to gain more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge in sales. Where at the point, I'd sold just about £1 million in my first year.
What was the most you made in one day?
One day probably would have been maybe 2 or 3 grand.
Did you not tell me about, there was another one on a street in Edinburgh that you told me about?
Yeah, the one at Gameskeeper's
Road.
That
was one.
I never made a lot of money on it though, because I still actually have a gripe about that to this day, because the one at Gameskeeper Road was the biggest sale I'd ever made in double glazing, because I sold it for just about 50k.
Nice.
But it should have been about 70k. So it was right down the sliding scale in terms of how much I could earn.
Yep.
I maybe only earned like, how much did I earn from that? No, because I think I got a really big bonus off that. I can't remember how much I earned, but I got a big bonus off it in the end, but I didn't earn the commission what you would normally earn there and then. But at the end, I got a massive bonus. I can't remember how much the bonus was, but it was a really good bonus that I got. Yep. So that was probably one of the biggest jobs that I'd sold, but I'd sold more profitable, smaller jobs as well.
Yep.
But yeah, the Gameskeeper Road one was a massive job. Like, so aluminium windows, yeah. To an adult, a guy and his wife and 1 son staying in like this 7-bedroom mansion. I'm like, jeez,
you're licking your lips when you went in.
Yeah, and he'd actually said he'd downsized. I was like, this is incredible. That took a couple of visits, which as a sales rep, nobody likes that.
Yep.
Especially when I go all the way to Edinburgh to do a double visit, so it took a couple of visits, but yeah, because I would rather sell a mid-terrace, full house of windows and doors, out the door, not the next, all the time. But yeah, I'd done really well, honestly. That was a really good time at that company, because I'd been earning brilliant money. I was getting bonuses as well every month. I hit a bonus, 2 bonuses every month. They paid 2 separate bonuses if you sold 12 deals. You got paid 1% of your overall sales, and then you also got paid £500 if you'd done more than 12 if you'd sold more than 50k, which is a doddle. You know, I do that in a week sometimes. You would get paid £500 a month bonus, plus you got 1% of your overall sales. So you done 150k. I was always guaranteed at least £2,000 bonus every month before I kicked the ball pretty much. I knew I'd always hit that. And then they also had like our team won like trips to Ascot, which was brilliant. Fly from the airport back up the same day, conferences, things like that. And then I won a trip to Abu Dhabi, which was incredible for me and Jenna. We won a trip to Abu Dhabi, which I thought was unbelievable. All expenses paid for, 5-star hotel, chefs on tap. It was absolutely brilliant. It was great. And then I won a trip to like Krakow. I won a trip to Budapest. All these places. And then I was making a fortune at the same time as well. And that's what, like, you know, managed to buy my house off. And I'd never seen money like this before. You know, so it really pushed me on and gave me even more hunger, because I'm like, God, that money is achievable if you want to put the actual effort in. It's not 10, 15, 20k a month is not unachievable to go and earn, you know, if you do put your mind to it.
So at what point, obviously the money's good, all the rest of this, at what point are you like, right, I can't follow this path for the rest of my life, and I'm going to go and try and start a business again?
Well, what had happened, the company that I was at the time, the national company was at, my manager got sacked from his current role when I was in Abu Dhabi. I was actually in Abu Dhabi, and the divisional director came over to me and Jenna. I was sitting lying on the beach, literally sipping a pina colada. Like, honestly, having a great time in Abu Dhabi. The weather's brilliant. And he came over and he pulled us aside and he said, I just need to let you know that the sales manager's been let go. I'll not give you the reason just now, but we'll tell you when we get back, because we don't want to ruin your holiday, you know, like, because he was there, because we went with a group of people. And the divisional manager for my team got to also go on that trip as well. And so yeah, he was really shaken, because he knew that I had a close bond with the sales manager, and if he went and started on his own,
you might go, well.
I might go, So what had happened is, at this point, COVID had ended up hitting, and it started to be, it was terrible. Then I had a leg break, because my hobby was motocross. I'd broke my leg, and they started wanting me to do calls from home, you know, Zoom calls with customers. It's the hardest thing to sell in the world, you know. And then I was recovering from my leg break anyway. I had enough money behind me, so I didn't need to work, to be honest with you. Like, I was pretty comfortable paying my bills and, you know, everything in my car. Like, I was because I'd been earning a fortune anyway. So I put myself in a good position, and then at the time my sales manager started up a business in Dundee, and at the end of the company that I was previously working for, I was suffering from burnout. Because I was a really good sales rep, I would get all the leads. I was pillar to post, and I'd had.
Did you know? So you done a lot of travelling and a lot of time away from home.
Yeah, a lot of time away from home, a lot of travelling. So, you know, money at this point was not really the motivation. Because I was earning enough that I couldn't care. Like, it was more so like I got enjoyment out of actually doing good jobs for customers. That ended up being enjoyment, going back and seeing the installations and all these type of things. I really enjoyed that. And then. So I was suffering I had suffered from real bad burnout. I was doing 4 or 5 leads every day.
At what point did the kids come on the scene?
So I've got a stepdaughter who was only 6-7 months old when I first met Jenna, but we didn't stay together. We were just sort of dating and whatnot. But she's always stayed with me, like, because, you know, after we got our house, maybe 6 months to a year later, she's always been brought up with me. She's also got her own dad, who's all right. But my youngest daughter, Luna, she was born in 2018. So this was about the time that everything was kicking off, and I wasn't spending a lot of time with her. I do regret a lot of that, because as you get a wee bit older, I know I'm only 33, but as you get a little bit older, you know, these are precious moments and precious times that I kind of probably missed out on. But then at the same time, I went out and worked as hard as I could to provide as much as I can for my family. We managed to buy our house, a really good house in the area that we wanted, that I thought I would never in a million years be able to stay. I wasn't from that area, and you know, I'd even to this day I've still never stayed in a house that's got stairs in it. Right, it bugs the life out of me. So my next house is going to have stairs in it. But yeah, so do
you feel like that's difficult still to balance the kind of time between making time for the kids, but also spending enough time building the thing that's going to give them the life that you want to give them?
Yeah, like, well, I've got a lot more time now, but I didn't before, when I was starting to build a business and stuff like that, and even again going back and working at the other companies that I worked at, I just done it. I was always a people pleaser. I always liked pleasing people, and I hated letting them down. But that came to the neglect of my family, because I would always be out working day and night, and I was up and down as well. I'm not one of these sales reps who people say, yeah, you have to stay in the middle. Just wasn't like that.
Where do you think that comes from? Do you think that comes from like a fear, well, not like a fear, but potentially a fear of not being good enough?
Definitely
like,
fear.
Aye.
Fear to me was like not getting to the end of the week and selling enough business for the company that I worked so hard for.
Yep.
I didn't like letting people down. I like to think I was the best at what I did.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people would agree. Anybody who watches this and works in sales, I think would be hard to say that I'm not one or the best salespeople that they've worked with. Because I always delivered results week on week, no excuses.
Yep.
Very rarely I had a bad week. I did have them, like everybody has bad weeks, but I wouldn't really have a bad month. I'd have a bad week, but not a bad month. I'd pull things back constantly. So yeah, I left there and went away and worked for the smaller company, and I sort of just replicated what I'd been doing.
Yep.
I was earning really good money again, but things came to loggerheads at the end, which I'll not go into, but things came to loggerheads at the end of that company. Just probably a lot of stubbornness, because I wanted to do things a certain way. I didn't think things were getting run as well as what they could be run. I was trying to propose ways to maybe improve the business a little bit.
Was that probably at the point when you were like I have a bit more insight on how this could be better?
Well, yeah.
And then the cogs start to turn, and it's like, well, why am I not just doing it for myself and I reap further rewards? But obviously you need to take the risk as well. But
yeah, well, I did. Took the risk of like going away and trying to do my own thing. But again, I was pretty settled at this point in terms of financially ish. Because at this time I had bought a house, had a decent car and stuff like that. And my kids were used to a certain lifestyle. My partner's used to a certain lifestyle. I'm used to a certain lifestyle. So leaving that company that were, I've got what I will say is that they done well by me, and I'll always be grateful for the chance that I got through, because he was my sales manager right through to working for him. So we got on really well for the most part, I would say. But at the end, things just wasn't working for me. I was pretty negative. I was being negative towards my environment, which I hated myself. I found myself in an environment that I wasn't quite happy with, and I knew I had to get out of it. Otherwise, I was just going to keep feeling the same.
When you say negative, just in the sense that you were kind of getting annoyed that.
Yeah, I was just getting annoyed.
Changing.
I was getting annoyed at certain situations. Put it this way. If you're a business owner and you are telling your reps to go and get their own leads, nah, I'm not having that.
Yep.
So that was one of the scenarios that.
That's interesting. Alan's been doing self-gen this week, mate.
Well, there here. It's not a bad thing getting self-gen, but when the company's trying to stay afloat and they're telling you to go and get your own leads.
To be fair, he's been doing self-gen, providing value to businesses.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not a case of just walking into places and he's like,
and there's no value.
Buy from me. Like he's leading with value. So it's slightly different.
It's a completely different situation. Yeah, I would never say to my sales reps, there's no leads, go and get your own.
Aye, find them. Yep.
Great, if you don't get self-gen, you'll be rewarded for it. No problem. But we're working here trying to generate more leads for this business.
So did they give you extra commission if it was self-gen? Or was it just flat, that you had to go and find them and then you got the same commission rate when you sold it?
I can't even remember, but I think there wasn't self-gen commission. There wasn't self-gen, but it probably could be negotiated. I might be wrong, so don't quote us, but I can't remember if we got more at that time. There was at the national company that I worked for, but going into there, they paid, well, the reason I left it is because I negotiated a better deal for myself, pretty much. I was on a flat rate commission for everything that I sold, but that quickly changed. Understandably, now we're on now I run my own business, I could understand why. That they introduced like a sliding scale similar to the national companies. So they started going that way. Yeah, it does work, and I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it was just more so just things like, for me it's my responsibility to go and generate leads for my sales reps to go and sell for our company.
Yep.
You know, that's what they are paid to do. They're not, if they want to go over and above, great, no problem. But there's not much you can go over and above and do as a sales rep. You know, your job is to be fully focused and prepared to go and sell windows and doors or whatever it is that they're going to go and sell. And I want them to give 100% into that. Our job is to go away and try and generate leads and you know, and provide that to the sales reps to go out and do their job.
Yep.
Great. If they want to go over and above and they get their own leads, great, brilliant. Couldn't ask anything more. But it's ultimately that is not their job. Yep. And there was an argument, you know, between whose responsibility it is, which I think is ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, so we didn't see eye to eye in the end, and then I sort of forced myself out the door pretty much.
Yep.
And I just left. No notice, I just left.
It's probably like a key case where it's like a good, or what some might define as a good and honest business owner at that point would accept that that's their responsibility. Well, like if something's gone wrong, the buck kind of stops with you. Like it's no. Yeah, the buck. You didn't start pointing fingers at.
No, the buck stops at with the owners of the business. I would take responsibility. Now, you know, when I look at the business structure and how it runs, you know, the buck stops with me, and it's my responsibility to make sure that everything's churning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a sales rep's responsibility to have all that weight on his shoulders to provide business for a company that he doesn't even own.
Yep.
You know, it just doesn't work like that. You know, salespeople are motivated by leads and going and selling, which is, you know, if you get a good sales rep, that's what they're good at. You know,
yep.
You want to allow them to focus on that job, and that's how putting the right people into your business is important, whether that's, you know, people in the office who are good at what they're doing, salespeople, people that do marketing, people that are installers, managers. You know, you put all these people in roles because that's what they do, that's what they're good at, you know.
Aye, everybody has a seat and they sit in the seat that they're best in.
We're not all like Swiss Army knives, you know, yep. You could do absolutely everything, you know, because you just suffer from complete burnout doing something like that. So you put people in the roles that they're good at.
It's like task switching as well.
Yeah.
Because you just get overwhelmed when you're constantly doing different things and then you end up getting nothing done.
100%. So yeah, that came to an end, and then obviously it led to Wave starting, which had its ups and downs to start with, to say the least.
So obviously, if we go into that period,
yeah.
Well, when did you start that? Because obviously at the start of the podcast you mentioned that you'd only sold like $6,000 in November and December 2024. So then when did that start?
So I actually started in about July. What had happened is the guy that was in the business was at the time. So it wasn't my business. So pretty much what happened is there was a company that I'm not going to mention them, right? Because they're, you know, anyway, yeah, no mention that. But it was a different name, similar to this name, but it was a slightly different name. And it was just I came in. He says, you know, do you want to come in, give us a hand, blah blah, and we can work together, right? It was a business that was doing next to nothing, put it that way, right? And it was in the mud. I've came along, helped it out, got rid of some things, some problems in the company, helped out a wee bit, and then that ran its course until about up until not terribly long ago, but it was at loggerheads probably by January.
Aye, so that was
December.
Because you came to the
it would have been November time.
Aye, because we had the in-person event in November, and then you signed up, and I remember, because you weren't going to sign you up.
We didn't initially.
Aye, because you weren't doing that much revenue, and the concern was the affordability, but then you were like, nah, I can sell. Yeah. I'll sell, just give me the leads.
That was all. I had no qualms. I was like, give me the leads and I'll go and sell.
Yep.
And because obviously, I think it was Alan that when we came to that thing and we walked away from it, and then Alan phoned me back. So you've got Alan to thank,
mm-hmm.
but I've also got Alan to thank as well. So so it's reciprocated. So we jumped on board here.
What do you feel you were struggling with before that? Do you feel it was just leads? Because obviously you spent your entire
purely leads,
career selling that probably wasn't a concern at that point.
I was used to a lot of leads, and then going from having none, I had to find a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've always done really well. I've always just found a way to make things work, and then we obviously approached you guys because I didn't want buying leads in and that. They're just terrible. I've dealt with them. I've still dealt with some of them.
I think I remember you mentioning it, but when you mentioned you let like £250 for a window lead,
yeah, you're
like that's fucking, that's bonkers.
Yeah,
and they're like shit leads as well.
They're not the best, no. And I'm not one to blame leads or anything like that. A lead's a lead. Go out and sell it, do your best, but it's a different quality lead to what I'm getting now.
Yep.
So,
what do you feel is different about?
Well, they're more exclusive, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you might compete against some people now and again. That's fine, but they're a bit more exclusive, and you're not paying anywhere near £250 to get that customer. So yeah, buying the leads in and that, was never an option at the start. Couldn't afford it anyway. And to give my ex-partner in business his due, he put his eggs into the basket as well when we decided to start up Wave Exteriors, which when we approached you and we went gun ho with it and whatnot, we put the money in. It was also his money as well. It wasn't a lot though. It's not like it wasn't putting on my beans on toast. But it's like we decided to go in. But that full month in January, when I went out and sold 125 grand in January.
Aye, so in the space of 4 weeks, you went from what, nothing to
125
grand. And so obviously putting that to the side, from that kind of point in November, December to then kind of where you are now, what do you feel have been the biggest lessons learned? Obviously out with kind of picking the wrong business partner and that, but more so in a kind of operational sense or anything you've had to put in place that, because that growth's pretty quick. To go from 0 to 125 grand in a month is like you probably would have had to start accelerating getting things in place.
It was crazy, but because I'd been working within businesses and learned a lot and had a failed business in the past, you learn a lot and you understand it a lot better. So it was, when we started selling, I didn't start building a pipeline until February.
Mm-hmm.
I spent the whole of start of December. I remember telling you on New Year's Day, mate, I'm done with Christmas and that. Get the leads on. I'm ready to go. And I was out selling instantly, building a pipeline for February. Managed to get installers that I trusted, who are still with us now, who are brilliant. They're dedicated, do a lot for our business. They're really good. And we had a chat with them, with the surveyor, and with the other boy who didn't really care at all. That previous partner sat in the meeting and just he didn't care. It was annoying, put it that way. And we put processes in place for installers straight away. So I kind of geared up for it in terms of how things were going to get done. So I'd let them know that we'll be starting in February. Are you okay to wait till February? Yep, that's fine. We got a van, we got it signed written, because money was coming in, and we got cracking on straight away. I had a good relationship with manufacturers because I dealt with people that worked within the manufacturers previously.
Yep, so you had a lot of good contacts already to get.
I had good contacts, I had good people around us. I'd learned certain systems from previous companies, how to operate, which put us in good stead, although their processes have been changed to improve now. But it gave me a good start to get kicking on pretty quick, and it was handled very well. We've never really had a major issue in this business. I've never even had a mismeasure since, so we've went through an awful lot of work, and we've not had a window that's been measured wrong yet. So we've actually had no major issues on jobs at all, from a sales point of view and an installation point of view. Niggles, but nothing that a customer could say, that they were unhappy about. And for the amount of frames that we get through in a week, to not have one mismeasure, it's nothing short, I think, incredible. Because I've seen it an awful lot of times in the businesses that I did work in. So give a shout out to Davey, the surveyor. He's brilliant.
And then obviously we could speak about the 0 to 125k, and obviously you'll do over 7 figures this year. What was it? Was it at that point at the first month where you were like, "Fuck, like this is like I've got a proper business here"?
Yeah, it was straight away. I knew that I had to take it serious. But again, going to be back to sales, it's about being prepared, and that's one thing that I was prepared, and I believed, and that's what I had to tell you guys. I had to say, don't worry about your money. Get me leads. You'll get paid, no problem at all. And it's been a partnership that's lasted about a year now, which is great. That was pretty much.
There's been dips as well, though. Again, it's fine to talk about the good times and that, but then obviously we hit the summer period, and obviously we'd never worked with windows and doors companies before that point. So we couldn't. I wasn't even aware that we could advise you that like at this point you're going to need to double your spend to get the same sales volume.
Yeah.
So then you obviously had the summer slump as well.
Yeah, well, I suppose going into next year is going to be a lot better because we'll have a lot more data to suggest what we should be spending and even what areas we should be targeting and all these type of things. But this year we didn't have that, so it was that was probably one of the only learning curves that I kind of had to learn because I've learned an awful lot. I continue to learn in certain aspects of the business, but I've got a general good understanding of how to run my business and market and sell and how to run installation teams and all these type of things. But one thing I didn't have was data, and it was something that you mentioned at that time. We've got nothing to suggest of what we should be doing. So it was like it was a bit scary, but because you've got a full operation, our guys go through frames like they're going out of fashion. Our guys didn't fit 3 windows a day, 4 windows a day. They're wanting 6, 7, 8 items a day constantly. So it's trying to keep up with that demand constantly, and that's another thing. Like the guys that work here, I'm not even going to mention their names because I don't want anybody trying to nick them because they're brilliant. And they've even said to me that they've never had a company that's managed to keep up with them. How we pay them, I'm not going to mention, but they're paid pretty well. And it's they've never had a company that's been able to keep up with the amount of frames that they need to be earning the money that they want to be earning. So that's a lot of credit to us as a business and credit to you keeping us up with leads. But because again, I work in sales and any other salespeople that work with me or do work for us, I'd probably be pretty good person to learn from. So we've still got things that we need to refine and improve on. Definitely, but we're in a good growth period, which is great.
It's interesting with the summer slump thing as well, though, because obviously with an industry like windows and doors, naturally the demand for the service just takes a nosedive. Because the weather's not there.
But I didn't expect that at all. Even in working in other companies, I've never. I suppose maybe it's just a bit of forgetfulness, because again, working at Nationals, you don't feel the slumps because their marketing spend is massive.
They were probably behind you, doubling, tripling spend to make sure that you guys still had enough leads, and you probably didn't see the. Yeah,
definitely. And again, now when I look back at the business that I was at previously, the sort of local company I worked at, when you look back, you just think you were on thin ice. Like, if you're expecting me to go out and get leads in July, and now I know how hard it is to actually get leads.
Even through good channels.
Through good channels. It's just totally delusional. And it's like, one thing you've got to give them is, there has got to be sort of mutual respect that it isn't easy to run a business, and it isn't easy to provide the amount of leads that people need. And for two things: one, you need a certain amount of leads to keep your business operating at a high level, but people have got families to feed as well, whether that's sales reps, then you've got the installers at the back of that, things like that. We want to keep our spend high to then be in positions to negotiate with suppliers as well, so that we can negotiate our products as low as we possibly can, because we always want to keep them, we want to make more money. And taking 2, 3, 4%, 5% off your annual to get a window manufacturer could be thousands of pounds. So you want to keep the relationships high, you want to keep the spend high, you want to be constant. We've went from, it's crazy actually, because we actually spend more money every month with our window manufacturer than anybody in our area. Which is a really big compliment, to me and to us and everybody that works for Wave Group. Everybody's contributed massively, which I couldn't be prouder.
Brilliant. And if you did you go through any periods where, like maybe particularly in that summer period where you were like fucking hell, like I don't know what's going to happen here, like I might need to pack this in?
No, it never ever came into my mind that was the case. It was more like, we need to find a way, there's got to be a way, there will be a way. And there was a way, which was, we were getting some leads in, but our spend wasn't high enough. And
I think did we not run a database reactivation campaign?
You say that, but mate, our July month was like 90k. It's no like unsurvivable.
Aye, yeah.
June was like 80 or 90k as well. These were probably our 2 worst months. But I was panicking because I was used to we're used to doing more than that. But the reason I was panicking is because my business was growing. I had sales reps under my feet.
Aye, so it's just grown.
It's grown, yeah. I mean, like if that was just me outselling, it'd have probably been like, oh, cool, right, that's fine. But we had to go and buy leads in as well. We had to go and outsource it. We had our door canvasser and stuff like that out who's temperamental, you know, like they all are. You know, they are temperamental door canvassers. So, yeah, we ran into issues, but we made it work, and it never once crossed my mind that packing this in. It was more so like, how do we find a way to generate the same level of business? It's kind of common sense, so is it? It's just that you need to go and spend a lot more money. Anybody who suggests otherwise is wrong.
I think it's just knowing the numbers as well, though, because again, it's like a lot of businesses, I don't know, a lot of business owners in the trade and home improvement space, their perception of what they need to spend to get a customer seems to be like way off. Like they seem to think that they should be spending this tiny bit of money to get a customer. But it's because they've not got a clear understanding of how it impacts the margins.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm different. I know, like, my cost per acquisition, my cost of sale, cost of lead, all these type of things. I know how sort of how many leads you're going to get, as opposed to how many are going to actually convert to appointments.
That seems to be rife in the windows and doors industry, though. Because see, if you look at other industries, the tracking and numbers in that is not as prominent.
I don't know why, because they should be doing it, but I think you do have to know your numbers. But even more so, just purely from a marketing perspective, you know, you've got to know when you should be spending more money and when to take risks, when not to take risks, and whatnot. So yeah, numbers is really important, and knowing your numbers will improve your business, because you're gathering data. You look at how much you've spent in the month, you look at how much business you've done in the month, and you know, if you're looking to grow the business and scale it, then you know, you've kind of got the figures to go off of then, rather than just plucking them from thin air. You know, I'll know if I can up the ad spend, or if I can't up the ad spend, or if we should try a different avenue or whatnot. I'll know straight away. I know every day.
But then it's also being able to see where the problem is.
It's good
because it's like if you know that your lead to appointment rate's low, you know there's a problem that you need to fix. But if you're not tracking anything like that, you can't. All you know is that the bank balance is low. You've not got a clue how to fix it.
No, exactly that. But that's where like we've changed. But that's also something that I didn't really know that much. Like, I knew like your sort of general CPSs and stuff like that, and you know, sort of just your sort of general numbers on how to run a business in a way. But what I've learned over the past year is more the data side of things, and which is not something that I've ever looked at, because again, having your own business, you're not interested in you know, how much that company is paying to get them leads. You're just wondering how many leads you're getting.
How many chances you've got to sell.
But now you've got to think a lot deeper as a business owner. You've got to think, right, you know, how many leads have we got? How many have we actually managed to contact? How many leads have we actually got into? And how many have we sold? And how many have we pitched and missed? Things like that. And then, you know, you can make better informed decisions, I would say, on scaling your business pretty much, you know. But yeah, you're going to take risk in anything that you do. If people say otherwise, then no. But you definitely need to take risk.
I guess especially important when now, obviously, you've got someone else selling for you.
Yeah,
that's a completely different ball game at that point.
Yeah, it is completely different, because you know, it's different for maybe, I would say it's maybe better for somebody who's come from an installation background who can't sell at all, you know, or well, could sell but can't sell properly, you know, go out, give a quote and wait for them to come back, you know, you'd be waiting all day pretty much. But so a salesperson really improves a business like that. Our business, it does improve it, but you know, me, because I'm a salesperson, I find it difficult, because they're not going to be as good as me. You know, the salespeople that have worked for me or whatever, they're not as, unfortunately, they're not as you know, I would expect a better result, but I've got to then understand that it's not me outselling, you know, and that I've got to let go of it, and I can't be in control of it forever.
Because if the business has to hinge on you, the business has to grow. But again, at the same time, I guess it doesn't matter if whatever you're good at in the business, whether it's sales or whether it's the installs or whatever it is, at some point the business owner needs to accept that they need to bring somebody in that's maybe only going to be able to do it like 80% as well as they can. But as long as the business still moves forward and you're providing a good enough service,
Yeah, it's fine. Like,
it's still not an easy thing to accept.
I'm good at sales, but the business won't actually grow without somebody else coming in. That's why we brought Matthew into the business, because somebody that I could trust and somebody that's got a drive. Like, you know, he's phoning me up asking what's going on every day. You know, which is brilliant, because before, you know, I'd be waiting three business days to have a conversation before. You know, so it's like now it's a lot better because we're holding each other accountable, and the business will drive forward from an operational point of view. Their processes will improve. From a sales process, they'll improve as well. And now obviously we do the bathrooms as well. We've got a fantastic process for bathrooms. It's really good. And we've got Neil, who's the sales guy, one of our sales guys, going out and doing the bathrooms mainly, and he's been doing pretty well, I would say. And he's got an awful lot of knowledge, so we're grateful for that.
Did you feel the kind of seasonality that you felt with the windows and doors impacted your decision to then add a different service that's pretty well, because bathrooms are pretty steady throughout the year. They'll take some dips, obviously like Christmas and stuff like that, but they tend to be pretty steady throughout the year.
Cost per lead's lower. You get more of them.
It's also, I think what's different with the bathrooms is it's like an attractive thing that you can put in front of someone and they're like, oh, I really want that. But with the windows and doors, it's more kind of pain point focused. And
it's more of a need than a want.
That's the best way to describe it.
Where bathrooms are wants, but it's a very high desirable want. You know, who doesn't want a new bathroom? You know, like my bathroom's 3 year old and I want a new bathroom. You know, so it's like they're easy pickings. And if you've got a good process, which we really do, we've got a really good process for the bathrooms, and now we've got the showroom and things like that, which is just I won't be finished for another month or so, but it's going to improve the process for bathrooms even better. Where windows and doors, it's, you know, it's a fight. You know, you're always you're up against it. Like there's companies out there that have got just like 3 week lead times, because they're just they can't create long lead times, because they've got fitters that just fit like anything and want to make as much money as possible. That you know, having a long lead time doesn't work. You know, everything in this industry is about speed fitting. It's not about, when I mean speed fitting, I mean like quick and boys turn up on time, working smart, you know, and getting jobs done and getting on to the next. And you know, otherwise, you know, you can go and pay boys lower. You know, you get they're onto the letters in the double glazed industry. You pay them half decent money, but then you'll just get a half decent job, and they'll get strung out and they'll take ages to do. Here, don't really want that. We want to be trying to get as much business in as possible and getting it out the door as quickly as possible is the way to do it. The
bathrooms as well, I guess, as well, for the bathrooms, people will also wait longer. Like you might get, if somebody wants to choose the right company, they might wait like a couple of months just to get the right person to do it.
That's our problem at the minute with bathrooms. You know, our lead time is pretty long in them, you know, because we can't fit them quick enough. It's like, it's a completely different ball game, but I'm fortunate that, you know, Matthew and that comes with all that experience, and they brought that to the company, where like they've dealt with bathrooms for 15, 20 years. They know the process. And me trying to drill into them certain scenarios, they still can't get it yet. But it's like, you know, we're not butting heads in a bad way. We're trying to make it work so that it benefits everybody. And you know, it's our real problem at the minute is we've not got enough installers for bathrooms. So any bathroom fitters out there, get in touch. We need
too many leads, mate.
Yeah, we need all rounders for bathrooms. We need people that could do everything, you know, because you know, when you get bathroom fitters that all they could do is put a couple of pipes together, it's not what we're interested in. Because our current bathroom team are like problem solvers. You know, they do pretty much everything, which is great. It's a great service. Kind of do tiling, but Matthew does the tiling. But apart from that, they could do everything else, which is great. So, and the feedback we've had from customers on the bathrooms that we're doing is brilliant, because we're targeting more mid to high end bathrooms as opposed to like, you know, sort of lower tickets. We're trying for higher tickets. So the quality people you're dealing with and the quality bathrooms you're dealing with have got to be at a high standard. And that's what we're delivering, which is great.
No, it's good. It's exciting. It'd be interesting to see kind of where that takes you in 12 months. I guess finally, mate, just to round things off, kind of what's next? Like, what do the next 12 months look like?
Well, the next 12 months is going to be a massive growth period. So obviously we had the issue where we had to rebrand the company, but I think, you know, we've done that all right. Would you say we've done that?
I think so. You probably went through a period where it's like
the road,
people will start to. But it might have taken a few months for people to recognise the new brand and stuff.
Yeah, I think we've got up there already. Like we brought in somebody who does our social media, and she's done brilliant. The organic growth's unbelievable. I think we've had, I think it's about 300, 400,000 views.
Yep.
I might be wrong, I'm not sure. But I'm sure it is about, I checked before I come in here, but I think it's about 300,000 views in the month on our stuff, which is really good because it was like 30,000 like a few months ago.
It's important as well because it helps you, like, and as well as like anything like a website, whatever it is, organic socials. And I've probably been one in the past where I've leaned so heavily on paid advertising.
Yeah.
But we've now got to a point where it's like, I almost need to see it now as like the paid gets the eyeballs and the organic provides the trust.
It does, yeah. The organic stuff we've noticed has been brilliant. The guys are getting used, still trying to get used to it, with being on site a bit more unexpectedly, and just having more as a day in the life at Wave, and
people want to see who they're buying from as well.
Yeah,
and they want to know who's going to be coming to fit, and
they want to know what like the stats are coming to us. People think that it's like maybe however many people that are in our business, but we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's like 8 people in this business.
Yep.
Wave Group was next to nothing a few months ago again. Not next to nothing, but because we did rebrand and we're unsure of a few things now, it could have been 2, 3 people, but we've kept that level of people, and we're growing. We're just about to employ another full-time joiner to come on board because we need them. Like, we're growing, and the organic stuff's giving us more business. It's giving us organic leads, good quality leads as well. We're giving people more of an insight if we're doing any paid ads and they jump onto our page.
And that's probably the unseen thing as well, is it will naturally help you sell more of the paid leads.
Yeah,
because if someone then goes and vets you and has a look, it's almost like passing the litmus test.
Yeah, no, here I couldn't agree more. You're getting you're getting people going on paid ads, and you see these ads all the time, like with certain companies and that, and we want to, but then they've not posted anything for months. We're like, with us, we're really relevant. I'm constantly delegating with our organic social media person. I'm not going to mention her name because she's brilliant. I don't know what anybody else thinking her.
It's almost like showing that the shop front's open as well.
Yeah, you'll take that as a compliment. So she's done brilliant, honestly. She's been really good. She's worth her weight in gold, and it's someone that I never really emphasised a lot on before. I wouldn't spend money on it, but now it's actually really important for your business, I would say, to have
building
a brand, be relevant, and run alongside the ads. It just it just gives people relevance and assurance that these are real people that are running a good business. We're putting our faces on everything from the installers through to the business owners. We're putting all our faces out there, and it's really helped. So over the next year, the growth's going to be massive, because we're about to go from not having a showroom, we'll have a showroom. We'll have somebody working in the showroom full time. With the fitters will be a bit more at peace as well, because before our old area, it just wasn't big enough. Now we've got a much bigger area for them to work in, for storage and whatever. So we're a lot more settled, I would say. We've settled pretty quick. I think everything that I've ever done, we've settled pretty quick from when we started getting leads. We go out to sell, to having to rebrand, and we're going again. There's no settling at all. It's just like, we're contradicting myself. What I mean is, like, we get going straight away. There's no.
It's almost like forced evolution.
You just keep going and keep going and keep going, and we're really driven, and we're looking to be we're not wanting to be a giant. I'm not saying that, but I think over the next year there'll be a real growth spurt, because we've got the right people in the business. We've got really good people. We've got good installers, surveyors, salespeople. We've got everything that we need. Where beforehand we didn't really have that infrastructure 6 months ago, but now the infrastructure is actually a lot better, and people want to work here. They want to come and work for us because they see what we're doing. They see that we're good. They say that we pay well. They say that we treat them fairly. That's going to be next year's going to be really exciting for us, and working with you guys as well to improve the growth of the business as well.
It'd be interesting to see how the bathroom side goes, but again, it's like bathroom leads are far easier to generate than windows.
I couldn't believe how many bathroom leads are easy pickings, to be fair, compared to window leads. It's ridiculous.
It's just the desire thing as well.
So now the bathrooms will be really good once we nail it. We've not quite nailed it yet. Got good processes for it, but anything, you know, these things can always improve. Same with Windows as well. Things can improve. Everything can improve all the time. So just finding them 1%.
The small 1%.
The small 1% is where the money's made, I would say. 100%. So next year's going to be really good.
Class, mate. Excited to see it. But thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate.